Welcome to Be the Light 365. I'm Pastor Jake. We're going to talk about today's sin. There's always been a question that's always come up with all my colleagues and everybody that I talk to is, can we get so far away from God that our names are blotted out of the Lamb's Book of Life? Well, I'm going to tell you the truth right now. I don't know. The reason why I don't know is because that's God, and God only knows your heart, and He only knows my heart. So today, the passage we're going to read is Romans 8, verse 1. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. I've had people over my lifetime that they said, well, I can sin and do whatever I want to because, God, grace has covered me. Well, yes, grace has covered you. But it tells you not to sin. But God tells you not to sin. He tells you in Romans 6, 1 through 2. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin, that grace may abound? God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer into it? In other words, we shouldn't be doing it. We shouldn't be keep going and doing the same things over. I've heard a lot of times in my life, well, God's working on me. Well, okay, that's fine. Well, how long have you been a Christian? Well, I've been a Christian for 5, 10, 15 years. They give me a number and I'll be like, wait a minute, what? And they said, yeah, God's working on me. I said, well, no, God makes me wonder because God created the heavens and the earth in 6 days and everything that's in it. But He's taken 10 years to work on you about something that's sin in your life. That's your anger issues, that your drinking issues, any issue that you have, you're telling me that He's working on you to do it. Someone that can create the heavens and earth just in 6 days is taking years to fix you. And then I had to tell them, no, that's not true. God's not trying to fix you. And they'll say, well, why not? I've asked God. No, you've asked Him, but you haven't given it to God. You're still holding on to it. That's the reason why He can't fix it. If you don't turn over something to God, because God gave you free will to do things you do. But in the end, you have to make that decision to give it to Him. That's why in the Lord's Prayer it says, let your will be done. For a lot of people, that's hard to do because they want to be in control. We don't like change. We are creatures of habit. The proverb says a dog will return to his own vomit and a pig will always go back to the mud when washed. Because we are creatures of habit. We want this in our life. Some people want that anger because that feels like that's how they control things. People want to be selfish about stuff because they want to make sure that it's about them, but that's not it. There's nothing about us. We have to give it to God. We are servants of God. We are children of God. We have to keep going forward. That's why Paul says in 1 Timothy 6:12, fight the good fight of faith. In other words, every day we got to keep moving forward. We can't keep standing in one circle and saying, okay, well, God's working on me. Well, God's not working on you because you haven't given it to Him yet. Give it to Him so that you can keep going forward. You can't just keep dragging your baggage with you. God says He'll take your burdens. He says, share your burdens. That way, that out loud you will express that you even have them. Sometimes the hardest thing is to admit that we even have a problem. Sometimes we have a problem with money. It doesn't matter what it is. Money, people, anything that we have, anger, you name it, if we have a problem with it, we need to give it to God. And that's the problem we have is we don't. We want to hold on to it and just rip as tight as we can till our white knuckles. You cannot do that. We have to keep moving forward. We have to fight the good fight. We have to put off the basic principles of Christ, which is Hebrews 6. says, you know, for the love of God, the faith of God, the laying on of hands, the baptisms, all that stuff is stuff we should know and be moving on to more stuff, to get off the milk and start eating meat. Quit being children. You can't be a child for 30 years. I know some of us have. You know, I'm to blame as much. You know, sometimes I'm a kid at heart, but we can't be. Not with God. We have to keep moving forward. Keep doing the right thing. Keep doing what God says we need to do. So this is Be the Light 365. I'm Pastor Jake, and I hope you have a blessed and happy new year.